Hey Bulldogs, Miss Kasperzak. I just want to give you a quick book chat about the 5 books that you have presented before you. As you can see on your screen, you've got the 57 bus, Between Shades of Grey, Fish in a Tree, Trevor Noah's Born a Crime, and Refugee. All great choices. I don't think for any one of these you can choose wrong. They're all great books, so whichever one you choose, I'm sure you'll be pleased with. The first one I'll talk about is Refugee. This is a historical fiction book in which it follows 3 characters over 3 different time periods. And what's kind of cool is that at the end, they kind of all intertwine their stories, even though they're from different decades in history. So, one of the first people we meet is Joseph, and he leaves Germany in 1938 to escape the Nazi persecution of Jews. And in Cuba in 1994, Fidel Castro is kind of running wild with the country. So we've got Isabel, who leaves that country for freedom. And then we've got Mahmoud, who leaves Syria in 1994 to escape the civil war that broke out there. Each character deals with unimaginable terror and heartbreak. And though they are separated by continents and decades, each of their stories, like I said at the beginning, are connected in ways that tie them all together. This is a fantastic book. It's actually one of our battle of the books for this year. So after you read this, if you're interested in joining the Battle Club, contact me for that, but that's just an aside. The next book we're going to talk about is Born a Crime, Stories of a South African Childhood. And this is by Trevor Noah, who, if you don't know who he is, he's a comedian and obviously now an author. This is a true story about his life. So I have a little note card here. It says, born to a white father and a black mother at a time when such a union was illegal in South Africa because of apartheid. They separated the races. His mother could have served jail time if she was caught having a relationship with a white man, because like I said, it was illegal. The book chronicles Trevor Noah's life as he tries to fit into society, and he has to try to figure out who he is. Is he black because his mother is black? Is he white because his mother is, or his father is white? Or is he colored, or what they considered mixed race? And depending on where he is at the time in society, he kind of can fit into each one of those groups. And he has to figure out who he is. And it also highlights his relationship with his tough, fearless mother, who went through many lengths to give him the life that she felt he deserved and to save him from a life of poverty, violence, and abuse. So this is a really great story. The next book on our list is a 57 bus. This is also a true story. It's a difficult read just because of some of the things that occur in this story. And riding the 57 bus is the only thing that Sasha and Richard, and I'm going to call them characters, but the 2 main people in this book, that they have in common. Sasha lived in a middle-class neighborhood in the foothills of Oakland and attended a private school. So Sasha had a pretty good life going there. And Richard lived in the economically challenged flatlands of Oakland and attended a large public high school. So 2 totally different lifestyles. 8 minutes was all it took to kind of impact both of their lives, change both of their lives forever. But it was a single act that left Sasha severely burned and Richard charged with 2 hate crimes. And these hate crimes, if he's found guilty, could cause him to serve the rest of his life in prison. So it's a true story that looks beyond what is considered right and wrong, criminal and victim, justice and injustice, and it explores race, class, gender identity, morality, and forgiveness. An absolutely amazing book. The beginning is difficult. It will make you cringe, but it turns out to be a fantastic book. So I recommend that you try that one. The next book on our list is right in the center of the screen here. This is Fish in a Tree. And the quote that it starts with is, everybody is smart in different ways. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its life believing it is stupid. So a lot of these books have to do with labels. The label that is put on a person either by somebody else or a label that you put on yourself and how that impacts your life. And in this story, we've got Allie, who kind of bounces from school to school because of her father being in the military. And she's never learned how to read, but in each school, because she's never there long enough, she's able to hide her inability to read by kind of being the class clown, being a little disruptive, and this way she can escape from having to do the necessary work. But at her new school, her newest teacher, Mr. Daniels, he kind of sees through this, and he sees the potential that Allie has if she could just overcome this disability. So she learns that dyslexia is nothing to be ashamed of. This is her inability to read. It's nothing to be ashamed of, and that if she works hard and she kind of applies herself to this, that she can overcome it. And here it says, as her confidence grows, Allie feels free to be herself, and the world starts opening up with possibilities. So she discovers that there's a lot more to her and to everyone than a simple label, and that great minds don't always have to think alike. So this is a feel-good kind of story, because it really is overcoming adversity and really dealing with the labels that people put on us and that we might also put on ourselves. The last book is Between Shades of Gray. The author, Ruda, and I always mispronounce her last name, Septis. She writes a lot of historical fiction books. We have quite a few in our library. So there's this book, and then there's Salt to the Sea, which is kind of in the same time period, but it's not necessarily a sequel, but it does follow along right after. But in this book here, we have Lena, who is our main character. She's 15 years old and lives in Lithuania, and she's a normal, typical teenager. She has crushes on boys. She likes listening to music. She likes to draw. She likes to paint. And then one night, Soviet soldiers come in and arrest her entire family, and the comfortable life that they have is gone. So they separate her mother, and her younger brother from their father, and they're put on cattle cars. Excuse me. And they're taken north past the Arctic Circle into Siberia, where they're put into labor camps. And this is a really, really difficult time in her life. Excuse me. The weather is horrible. They have to dig in the frozen ground for beets, and basically they just have to figure out how to survive. So what she does find, though, is that she finds solace. She finds some kind of comfort through her art still, and she meticulously draws the scenes that are around her. And she has to be really careful, because if she's caught, if somebody sees these pictures of what truly is happening in these labor camps, she could die, and so could her family. So, but what she wants to do is send these pictures somehow to her father in another camp to show him that they're all still alive. So it is a long, again, from my little note sheet here, it is a long and harrowing journey spanning years and covering 6,500 miles, but it is through incredible strength, love, and hope that Lena ultimately survives. It says that Between Shades of Grey is a novel that will steal your breath and capture your heart. A great read. You really get sucked into the characters, into the events, and you're rooting for everybody. So I wish you luck in this assignment. Again, like I said, any one of these books that you pick, you cannot really go wrong with. They're all fantastic books.